Welcome to another edition of the USF Football Radio Show. It's back on the road this week. Bulls are heading to Houston for the final game on the road of the regular season as they face the Houston Cougars. We'll talk a lot about that. Glenn Spencer, defensive coordinator, later in the show. Linebacker Antonio Greer as well. Right now, our time with head coach Jeff Scott. And, Coach, we're going to talk about a lot of positives about last Saturday's game during the course of this show because there were a lot of them. But, we have to address, obviously, too, it was a real painful finish given all the hard work and preparation that this team went through to get ready for Saturday.
Yeah, obviously very disappointing. The guys have worked extremely hard. I was really pleased with our preparation during the bye week. We had 8 practices to get ready, and I really felt that for 3.5 quarters, we probably played some of the best ball that we played all year. And just the message to the guys today is, hey, football's a 4-quarter game for a reason. It's not 3.5 quarters. And we kind of got down to the last 5 minutes and just got out executed there at the end. And it did hurt. And the reason it hurt is because our guys really poured everything they had into that game. And we had majority of those guys on defense played about 90 snaps, at this point in the year with everything going on, really thin. So we just kind of got worn down a little bit. And you also have to credit their quarterback. I felt like, man, he had 2 2-minute drives, and he was just surgical with his throws, some of the best quarterback play that I've seen. And, from our standpoint, there was some opportunities to make some plays, and we just didn't make it. So it's a tough learning experience for our team, and our guys understand at this point, hey, there are no moral victories. I mean, we're playing to win, and we definitely had that one right there in our hands and had a great opportunity. But for whatever reason, it's another learning experience for us, and it just seems like it's been that kind of year. And I just told the guys, hey, we got to take ownership, we got to take responsibility. We got to learn the lessons from it, the good and the bad, and then we got to put our eyes, straight ahead and move forward. And I think that one thing I would say about our players that I'm really proud of is they've been resilient. I think that's a great quality to have as a person, just in life in general, but also as a team and as a coach and as a player. To be resilient and to show up each and every week in the face of adversity and continue to push and continue to work. And I think that's uncommon, to be honest, in this day and age. And so that's been probably the biggest positive is our guys continue to show up, continue to go back to work. I have full confidence, this week going and playing at Houston, our guys will be ready to play and try to find a way to go get that first conference win. But, yeah, there's no way around it. It was very disappointing. And, I hurt for our players in the locker room because, they really had put so much into that game and had an opportunity. And we just were not able to finish when we needed to in the fourth quarter.
Coach, you guys had a pretty special day on offense, like you said earlier. Probably one of the better games you guys put together as a team. Maybe not, but as an offense, surely so. You did it without Johnny Ford. A lot of people obviously probably want to know why wasn't he in the lineup and what's his status moving into Houston?
Yeah, Johnny was unavailable due to some COVID reasons. And so because of that, he's in that protocol and will be out for the, probably next couple of weeks. I really don't, we'll have to see how everything goes with the timeline and all those type of things. But, yeah, unfortunately we found out the day before the game that we had about 5 guys that were either starters or there was 3 guys that were second team on defense that all had to stay home due to COVID-related stuff. So it's kind of, unfortunately, par for the course during this 2020 season. And, I think you were able to see, unfortunately, a little bit of our lack of depth there in the fourth quarter. We just had a lot of guys that had some heavy legs out there trying to play because when you miss a guy, some of those guys on defense, it's not just defense, but it's also special teams. So now those starters not only are playing more snaps on defense, but they're also playing more snaps on special teams, and it just kind of all kind of adds up. And but at this point, you got to get the guys ready that are available, and that's what we'll do. But hopefully the guys that are out have an opportunity to get back at some point before the season's over.
even before Johnny Ford's status had been determined, you had talked about getting Battie and Parker into the rotation a little bit, and I thought they both did some good things.
Yeah, they did. Brian Battie is a true freshman that we're very excited about, and he's got really good vision. I think that's one of the qualities I really like about him is he's able to set up his blocks, and then when he sees a hole, he hits it. And I think he was one of our players of the game on offense, and really the first good number of reps that he got this season. So that's really a positive for our offense moving forward with him being a true freshman. And then also Leo Parker has been a young man that has been kind of looking for his role and looking for a fit. We moved him to running back at the beginning of the year, and he was making some progress, had an ankle injury that kind of kept him out the last couple of weeks, but it was good to see him get in there as well and add some nice plays and some nice reps. And I think he and Brian will continue to get more reps along with Kelly here these next couple of weeks.
Is it safe to say that moving forward, Noah Johnson is the guy that fans should expect to be in the starting lineup at quarterback? 20 of 29, 217 yards, 2 touchdowns, protected the ball, commanded the offense, right? It's pretty much what you're looking for in a quarterback?
Yes. The first thing I'd say in 2020, it's not safe to say anything. I've learned that. I don't know what's going to happen 2 hours from now,
Right.
is what I've said. But Noah, he played very well. I think we were really pleased. I felt like he led our offense. The number one thing that I was looking for was no turnovers. Because in some of the previous games he had led some nice drives against Tulsa, but turned the ball over inside the 10-yard line that really hurt us. And so that was one of our biggest things to him is, hey, protect the ball, right? And he did that. He did a good job of that. And I think 20 of 29 is probably one of the more accurate days that we've had at the quarterback position. And Noah just has a lot of great positive energy. He's a leader. And I think the guys rally around him, and I just feel like the ball, our offense moves really well with him at the helm right now. So it's definitely our expectation, barring anything unforeseen, for him to be our quarterback here this week.
American Athletic Conference Special Teams Player of the Week, Spencer Schrader. Pretty good game for him. You made the point when we were talking before the show that that's what you've seen in practice for quite some time, and Saturday it translated to the game.
I've been fortunate to be around some really good kickers at Clemson the last few years, but I've said since I got here that in practice, Spencer's the best kicker that I've been around at the collegiate level, and just unfortunately it hadn't translated over to the game quite yet, and a lot of that has to do with confidence and nerves and all those type of things. And Jared Sackett has also done a good job for us going into this game this week. And what our plan was for Spencer to be our long range kicker, anything 45 yards or longer. We were going to go with Spencer because he has a very strong leg, and then anything 44 yards or shorter, we were going to go with Jared. And the first 2 kicks happened to be over 45 yards, so Spencer went out there and nailed them. And then from that point on, we want to kind of stay with the hot foot there, if you will. And he did a great job. And I was happy, not just for our team, but for Spencer to be able to see him transition from what he's done in practice to the game field, and not just any game, but literally with the game on the line. We're up 10 points and have a chance to go up 13 points with under 5 minutes to go. That was a big-time kick right there. And so I just think that the confidence that he gained in that is really going to help us here down the stretch this year and in the future.
Coach, another guy who really made a phenomenal play, Daquan Evans. And, you come into the season and you look at your 2 guys you got on the outside at cornerback and a Mike Hampton and a KJ Sales, but now you got Daquan Evan, who's playing some really good football. What can you say about his development as a player? I mean, he's still young. He has a ton of football ahead of him.
He's and sometimes you see this in football, and Sam, this. Sometimes guys just kind of find the football, and the football finds them a little bit. And Daquan's been one of those guys that when he gets in there, he's able to find that ball, and that ball just shows up. So I was not surprised at all whenever I saw he was the one that picked it off and ran it all the way back. That was a huge play in the game. But, he just has a knack for the ball, and he's worked extremely hard in practice. And just like you said, he's really developed. I think his best ball as a corner is still ahead of him. But there's no question he's made an impact for our defense this year, and I'm excited to see him continue to develop the rest of this year and the rest of his career here at South Florida.
Bulls on the road again this Saturday. They will be at Houston. We'll talk a little bit about that matchup and much more about the Bulls when we continue after this on the USF Football Radio Network, presented by Marathon. Welcome back. The Bulls at Houston. This will be a 3 o'clock start on the road. It'll be a 1 o'clock airtime on the radio side. TV will be ESPN+. And don't forget, we have 2 home games coming up, and we have the start time now for the first one. The Bulls and Navy on the 21st will be at 8 p.m. And then, of course, the War on I-4 against UCF coming up after that. Tickets available for both of those home games, Navy and UCF, coming up. Well, Coach, it's a trip to Houston. They were a team that had a hard time getting their season started. They had a lot of cancellations early, on a little bit of a roll now.
Yeah, it's a very dangerous team. I mean, Houston for the last few years has a great roster from top to bottom. I mean, when you look at their offense, they're very explosive, very similar to Memphis in the fact of just the skill players at the wide receiver position. They have several guys that can go to the house at any time. I think their quarterback is playing pretty well for them, delivering the ball. And then on defense, very big and athletic up front, defensive line, and again, very athletic on the back end. It's again, I've said this from the beginning. I'm very impressed with the top to bottom with our conference and our league. It feels like every week you're playing another quality opponent. And I have no doubt this will be a great opportunity and a great challenge for us this Saturday.
What are the team's goals at this point in the season, right? And I ask this question because you go into it, obviously you want to go undefeated, and then once that goes off the table, you shift towards a championship in your conference, and then once that's unrealistic for you, what's the next goal in sight for this team that you've established?
Yeah, well, I actually talked to our team about that this morning in our meeting, and really there's 3 goals. We've got, at least 3 games here left, and there's 3 goals. The number 1 goal is for us to be more accountable off the field. I think, I've told our players many times, you're not going to get the results you want on the field if you're still having guys showing up late for study hall or missing tutor appointments and these type of things. And those things matter. And so that's my number 1 goal is for our guys to be more accountable here these last 3 weeks. And then, number 2 goal is for them to continue to show up and be resilient and continue to work in practice and have an attitude and a mindset that we're going out there to win the game. And then the number 3 goal is to show improvement. And I feel like we're getting closer. Obviously, we let one slip away last week, but if we'll continue to work on the details of what we're doing, alignment, assignment, and details of the fundamentals and techniques that we're asking them to do, then I do feel like we're going to have an opportunity to find some wins in these last 3 games. So that's really the 3 things that we're focused on right now as a football team.
Where does recruiting stand at this point? Obviously, there's times you can reach out, times you can't, but the process never stops.
No, it's still going. It's definitely a unique year for recruiting. We haven't been allowed to have any recruits on campus since March, and don't know if we'll be able to have anybody on campus until April or May. So right now it's really done on the phone and Zoom calls and just staying in contact every couple of days. I'm really pleased with the class that we have committed right now. We've got 20 young men that are committed, and they're very excited about getting here. Potentially 10 of the 20 could be here in January, which would be great to add them to our roster for spring practice and workouts and all those type of things. And then the other 10 young men look to come in the summer. And then we'll also, when we get into December after our season is over, then we'll start, a little bit more of the evaluation and contact process for the 2022, the young men that are, juniors, soon to be seniors next year, and find ways to continue doing virtual recruiting visits and those type of things. So it never stops. But I would say, even though we're disappointed with our season to this point. The response from the recruits has been very strong, and we're very excited about the young men that we have committed in this class, and feel like some of those guys are going to be able to help us make some progress next fall.
Coach, I want to know, what's the optimized approach between finding a way to go out and really compete and put your best guys on the field, but take advantage of the opportunities to develop the young guys on the roster?
Yeah, I think it's trying to find the balance in that. I mean, we do have 3 games left, and I think where we are right now is some of those freshmen, like the guy we were talking about earlier, Brian Battie, he's now worked himself up where he gives you a chance to win, and you're able to develop the freshmen. And, obviously, OD, Marion Dollison, has been playing from the very beginning. And Chris Townsell had a rough night there. A rough day Saturday, but he played a lot of reps, and he's going to be a great player for us here in the future. And so there's a few true freshmen that are out there playing now. Sincere Brown is a receiver that I would like to see get some more opportunity to really see what he can do before the season's over. And not a true freshman, but another young player, Xavier Weaver, I think is another receiver that is really close and really can help us. And I hope he'll get some more opportunity here these last couple games.
You have a senior class that has more options probably than any senior class in the history of college football with the COVID issues going on. How are you handling that as a coaching staff?
Yeah, it is an interesting year, and I think the NCAA made the absolute right decision in giving these young men an extra year, because it is a season like none other. And I think for a lot of our guys, they want to go out the right way with their team. They want to be a part of a team that is having success whenever they leave, and then also they want to be at their best when they leave. So I met with all of our seniors last week and kind of talked with them through their options and try to just kind of hear what their thought process is. And I'm not in a position right now to announce any of those the responses, but I would just say I'm very optimistic with the responses of how many guys are looking seriously at coming back and being part of this team next year. And I really think that could be an advantage for us, getting a lot of these key guys back with another year, and hopefully, have a little bit better spring practice, summer training, those type of things, so these guys truly can, be at their best for their senior year. So very optimistic that we're going to have a good number of those seniors decide to come back for one more year.
You know what? When the NCAA announced that rule, right, I don't think anyone – well, I think obviously that you guys and the executive staff here pretty much looked at it as an opportunity to supplement the not being able to have recruits on campus and all of the things that COVID affected during the season. Because I'm just thinking back, man, being a senior in college and then having another year – not looking into it, because guys go through a maturation process going into that senior year. They understand that this is their last opportunity. So I know it's going to be really special for you to have some of those guys back, especially with the relationship that a head coach develops with his seniors. And I just wanted to comment on that. I want to go back to Memphis for a little bit. Now, although they did throw the ball 50 times, you guys did do a great job when Memphis decided to run the ball. I think they were a little less than 3 yards per carry. What can you take away from the success that you had against the Memphis Tigers and bring it into a Houston team that does decide to run the ball at times?
Yeah, we end up holding Memphis under 100 yards rushing, which was one of our best rush defense performances of the year. And that definitely was a positive. And there were other times, before that fourth quarter that I really felt like we were making some plays on defense and had made some progress. I think the biggest thing that we're going to be able to take from this, the Memphis game moving forward to Houston is, there's a lot of similarities. Houston's going to throw the ball. I mean, they've got some very dangerous weapons. And so I think for us, it's learning from some of the mistakes that we made with those guys getting open, and maybe the technique and leverage. If I need to be inside leverage and not outside leverage, and give that guy an easy break to the inside. So I think maybe some of the details that weren't quite there when we needed it, right? When all of a sudden you get tired and you're just kind of lining up late and not quite ready to go and where you need to be. I think that's probably the biggest learning that our guys will take from this last game, and hopefully we can put that and be more productive in our pass defense, very similar to the way that we have been for most of the year until this past Saturday.
Couple of sacks for the defensive line. Tramel Logan is a guy whose name we tend to call out a lot lately.
Yeah, Tramel, I should have mentioned him earlier when Sam asked about some of the freshmen. He is we're looking for some more production from our defensive line, especially in our pass rush. We haven't been anywhere close to what we need to be there. And, Tramel is one of the guys in that room that has some really good quick twitch and, is able to be able to, get around some of the offensive linemen and duck and get underneath and make some moves. And so I think he's a guy from a pass rush standpoint I feel like can help us. Now he's, only about 212 pounds right now. So, he really needs a good off season to put on some weight to be able to stand in there against some of the run and different things that he's going to be asked to do. But I'm really pleased with what I've seen out of him, and hopefully his role will continue to grow for us here these last few weeks.
Coach, through the time of me being around the game, right, I think, and they always talk about you evaluate character when you're going through negative times and not when everything is peaches and cream. I'd like to know what guy has set, or what group of guys, or what position group, or what guy has set himself apart and really established himself as a leader, and not a guy who was said to be a leader upon your arrival, but a guy who you've seen and say, you know what, I can call this guy a leader of this team right now because of how he's carried himself in the midst of how this season is played out.
Yeah, there's probably a couple of guys that come to mind. One we talked about earlier, Noah Johnson. I mean, Noah's just a natural leader, and I think it's pretty unique the fact that he just got here this summer and is already – but he earned that by the way that he trained with the guys, the way that he's handled himself. I mean, he's at some point this year he was the fourth team quarterback, and now he's the starting quarterback. But you knew you were going to get the same effort and leadership from him every day, no matter what. So he would be one guy. Another guy on the offensive side of the ball, I'd say Mitchell Brinkman, another tight end that came in this year from Northern Illinois. He just has a lot of the qualities that we're looking for. Is the same person every day. Great attitude, great work ethic, and he's a guy that leads by example. So those are probably two of the guys that really stand out. Then I would probably get to Boyles and Greer on the defensive side. Both those guys at linebacker. They're going to bring it every single day. They're going to bring the energy and the juice at practice and in the game, and help guys get lined up and encourage guys. And that was probably one thing that another thing I was pleased with against Memphis was I felt like the leadership was a lot better on the sidelines and the huddle the entire game. And I just felt like 2 weeks prior against Tulsa, I just didn't like some of the energy and the things that I heard and the things that I saw. And so I was really pleased. I felt like the leadership was in a much better position this past Saturday.
Hard to believe the last regular season road game, at least on the schedule as it is now, as the Bulls go to Houston. Coach, have a great trip. Thanks for being with us today.
Great, thank you.
Head coach of the Bulls, Jeff Scott. Bulls in Houston, 3 o'clock start. We'll talk about the defense. Linebacker Antonio Greer is coming up, and the defensive coordinator, Glenn Spencer, as well, when we continue on the USF Football Radio Network, presented by Marathon. Welcome back. Bulls on the road this week. They travel to Houston, and then the two big home games, Navy, which we now know will be an 8 o'clock kickoff on November 21st, and then the War on I-4 against UCF. Tickets for both of those games at Raymond James Stadium available, 1-800-GO-BULLS or usfbullstix.com. Defensive coordinator Glenn Spencer joins us. Coach, thanks for being with us. This has been a year like no other, as they say. Tell us, just kind of summarize, if you will, what this year has been like for you, coming to a new university, going through all the COVID stuff, and trying to get this defense playing the way you want them to play.
When you first said it, my first thought was, a year to forget
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've been doing this a while, like 30, 31 years, and definitely none other like it, not even close. Um, just all the adversity, all the not knowing what's next right around the corner. We're creatures of habit as coaches, so it's like a process. This isn't my first time I've come in and installed, you know, so you have the process. Usually, you come in January, you get in, you have a lot of walkthroughs, you have spring ball, and you just go through the process of learning and teaching and fundamentals, and it's just all been distorted. It's all been out of whack. It's like the season started, we're playing games, and you're just trying to catch up just on some things that you would have done in spring ball, and then with the rotation of it's a process for an individual player to grasp concepts and develop, and boom, 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 you kind of grow. And then with the outs and the ins, and he's out for 2 weeks and he's back, so it's just so frustrating to me just to not have been in that pattern that I'm so used to, that pattern of growth. But I recognize what's going on. I can see the development that's going on. It's just kind of been a different process time-wise than what I'm used to. But the end result was we're going to get there. That's a long answer. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I tried, yeah.
Coach, I want to ask you about Antonio Greer.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I'm asking you this is the relationship between a defensive coordinator and his linebackers, right, specifically his Mike linebacker,
Sam, yep,
is always special, right? But then you have an opportunity to sit in the same room and coach this guy, right? So what have you seen from a progressive and a development standpoint from game one, or not even game one, from the time you first had the opportunity to work with him up until now?
So much of what we do, I think, and maybe it's everywhere, but on our side of the ball, it's about relationships. It's about trust. It's about that young man knowing that you're investing in him and you love him, and you want to make him the best that you can be. And that process has been not what I'm used to as far as speed wise, but it's over a process of time. You earn that with a player to a coach and a coach to a player. And that's what's happening with Antonio and I. I love that kid. I love his desire. He wants to be so great. He's battled some things injury-wise. So the consistency of the practice and all, he's with my guys, there's so much thinking, as you know, in that position, knowledge-wise of the game, and kind of having to know what everybody's doing around them. And then with a new scheme, those backers were probably hurt more than anybody of not going through that process and continue it through there's only so much you can do on a Zoom call, right? So, but his commitment to want to be great is tremendous, and that's why, he's had the year that he's had. And it's only going to get better. I wish we were starting the season right now, because I've seen the pattern of growth in him. He puts in the extra time. He's had issues, with his body that he's a pro. He's approaching. He's trying to get himself well and take care of all of that. And what hurts is with the depth situation that we have. It's hit all those guys between Bellamy, him, and Dwayne. There hasn't been a good rotation. So like last week, it was 90-plus snaps for those guys, and that takes a toll after a while. So that's why they got to treat their bodies great and get ready for the next week. So he's in that process. They all are, but you're right. With him and me and that whole room, I love those guys, and I just love their buy-in, really do.
It's been interesting to watch the relationship between coordinators on this team, you and Coach Weiss. You both came here, obviously, from Florida Atlantic. You had a couple of years together there. But this seems to be an offensive and defensive partnership that really works. We see it in practice every day. Can you tell us a little bit about that relationship with Coach Weiss?
Well, we were together 1 year there at FAU, and it's just a mutual respect. I understand. I've been in offenses that go fast, the tempo deal. I know the the advantages of offensively scoring and quick drives, but there's disadvantages on our side of the ball. But I understand that, so I'm not going to complain about that. You choose different ways to win. I've been in programs before where the competition was just guys looking out for themselves. They want to look good on practice. They want to look good, to the head coach. So the practices, you're not meshed. You're not working together. And, Charlie's above that. I'm above that. It's whatever we can do to help the team. So there's a lot of give and take in practice in certain situations. What do you need to see today? What do you need to see today? And, again, hopefully it's that process. The benefits of that are going to come. I know obviously we look at it and we're like, well, Coach, we're not seeing the benefit. No, they're there. It's happening, and it's just kind of been distorted by the way we've had to get there. But he's, for his age, he's a pro. He sees the big picture. He's more mature beyond his years, of course. And I kind of feel like leaving my year last year when I took over as the interim head coach there. I feel like, I was like my son. I felt like a father figure to him, going through some of that adversity when Coach Kiffin left, and we got through a very tough time together there. And I was so glad the success that he had, perception-wise from everybody of who's calling what, and he's proven himself, and he'll continue to prove himself here.
Coach, historically, USF has always been in the conversation when you talk about teams that are doing well from a sack standpoint and a tackle for a loss standpoint. In the sack category, you guys haven't played tremendously well this year. What is it going to take, right, whether it happens not necessarily this year or over time, what is it going to take for you guys to develop that success again?
Well, obviously, certain situations in today's game call for certain different things. When normal down and distance, the tackle for losses are starting to increase. Sack-wise, not many people are getting sacks on, but third down is where you pick and choose. So based on your skill set, based on what you have to go, you kind of go with the strengths of what your defense is. So it's my job to play to our strengths, and sometimes our strengths, might be there's mismatches elsewhere. You got to play more coverage. But then you got to choose your time, and when it's time to come, we do have to get there. So it's a balance of me kind of knowing the situation as far as matchups of what's the advantages and disadvantages of certain types of pressure, if that makes sense. So I think that's the longevity of it, the more we're in it, the more we get different combinations of players in here, then you might can see some other things. But the bottom line, you're trying to do what you can to get off the field and to win. Third down obviously hasn't been good. So it's a process of, all right, what's the answer? Is the answer, blitzing? Well, if we do that and we give up a big one, that's not real smart either. So it's a challenge to generate pressure, but also be sound enough to not give up big explosive plays too.
You've talked a lot about the amount of time you've had in coaching. You've had a lot of stops, Oklahoma State and Charlotte and Florida Atlantic. This year being so unique, what has it taught you? Have you had to learn a new level of patience this year, or what's been the biggest lesson of all the adjustments you've had to make?
I think so. Just like I mentioned before, it's not the first time I've installing a new defense, and but just the love I have for these kids and how I want to invest in them doesn't change. It's just we've been derailed with all the adversity. So the frustrating part about it is the the rewards for them aren't there. That's what kills me. That's what rips my gut apart after a game when like last week when you come so close. And I feel like talking to these seniors and say, man, I wish you could be here, next year or 2 more years, and I want you to see what this is becoming. I wish the timetable would have been different. It might have been if we'd have had the spring and the summer doing a lot more than what we've done. But you play the cards that are dealt you, and that's it's been frustrating, right? But the enjoyment of the relationships I have with these kids is like none I've ever had, of learning them and their background and what makes them tick, and more or less how can I help them be the best they can be. I'm always searching for that. That's the role that I have. And, sometimes it's tough love. It's just different ways that you got to get different kids to go. But they've responded well. A lot of them have. You think about the young man, too, what he's gone through, the uncertainty. They're worried about the COVID, and just so many things in society. So it's been a challenge to them as a young man. Back when we were coming out, when I was coming out, you practice, you go home, you eat. You play ball. There wasn't a lot of other drama going on, and so they've got a lot to deal with, a lot on their plate with outside these walls, academically, doing what they need to do, and the accountability just to being the citizen they want to be is, and we want them to be a reflection of me, a reflection of us as coaches. It's a process just like learning X's and O's. Same thing.
Yes, sir. What should we expect? And we talked to Coach Scott about it earlier. Thought you guys played tremendously well against the run. And, yeah, we understand they threw the ball 50 times or whatever the case may be. But what should we expect from the defense this weekend against Houston?
Well, a lot of what we did, we as far as the Memphis matchups, nobody really does a scouting report. So a lot of the things where they were getting explosive plays on to other people, the RPO glance and slants, they were just destroying people, and we took that away. And we had to get in windows. The guys bought into the game plan, so we took away a lot of their favorites. And what sometimes looks like a light box, invited them to run, and we did good against the run. So to be able to do against the run, but also have extra pieces in windows, so you're not isolating the guy, you're giving guys help. You're going to see more of that. Like my job, I'm in there today, is, let's take away their favorites. Let's try to make them do something. Now, sometimes you do that, and it's like be careful what you wish for. But I like the way we took away their top runs last week. We took away a lot of their RPO runs, and it goes back to third down for us. So hopefully this week you see more production on third. We just we need one stop. One deflection, one breakup, and it didn't happen. The guy was just throwing dimes there, and he was executed. You can tell he's broken a lot of records there, and great quarterbacks, and you see why. Because of some things but we got to stop that. We got to get that one more stop. So hopefully we back to your question, we stop the run and take away explosive plays, and be more efficient on third down. And then all of a sudden we're having a celebration in the locker room as far as instead of consoling each other.
Coach, thanks. Good luck this weekend.
Appreciate that. Thank you, guys.
Defensive coordinator Glenn Spencer. Stay with us. More to come after this timeout on the USF Football Radio Network, presented by Marathon. Welcome back. The Bulls at Houston. 3 o'clock kickoff this weekend. Linebacker Antonio Greer joins us. We have two guys that can speak volumes on the linebacker position. So, Sam, we're going to turn it over to you.
You know what? My first thing is I was driving over to Tampa today, and I see we got Antonio Greer. I get to sit down and talk to him. Most of your teammates are from Florida, right? And we could talk about all the cities in the state of Florida and name a guy on the roster from each city. But I wanted to know what it was like growing up in the city of Atlanta and how you ended up here at the University of South Florida rather than going to a school in a neighboring state like an Alabama or Georgia or one of the Carolinas.
Honestly, I talk about growing up in the city. Growing up in the city was pretty cool. Playing rec ball, going to school with all my friends that I played rec ball with growing up. It was a great experience, and especially the city of Atlanta is amazing itself. So it was actually kind of hard for me to leave Atlanta and also my family. But it was also better for me to leave Atlanta because it was the most safest thing for me to do. My mom always tell me, like, there's nothing back home good for me, but family. So they come and see me if I need to see them. My mom, she's a flight away. She'd be here in no time. Family in general, so that's what I say about that.
So at this point, when you think about the things that galvanizes you as a man, talk about it. I mean, is it family or what else is part of your belief system that kind of makes Antonio Greer the man he is? And obviously, the man who you are, it propels who you are on the field. But what else is it about your belief system that makes you the man that you are today?
First, most definitely God, the man above, and the next thing would be my mindset. With Coach Scott and new coaches coming in, us as a team, as a culture, had to change our mindset. And that was our biggest thing of buying in this year. We had to change our mindset. Every outcome of something, we always had to take the negatives out of it. Well, now we're taking the positive out of every small, detailed thing that goes wrong. We take positive out of it. Our record right now, horrible, but we take positive out of it. We're growing every day, every week. We're getting better as a team, as a unit, as individuals. But me personally, it would 100% be my mindset. Because going back to last year, we had the 6-game losing streak, and the mindset was, here we go again. You know what I'm saying? Here we go again. But now it's we're in a worse position, and now it's let's go. You know what I'm saying? Let's get back to this grind. We happy to come in the building. We happy to get those texts and see what the schedule is going to be in the morning and stuff like that. It brings chills to my body. I would just get so enthusiastic, when things go wrong, and knowing that my guys and the coaches are going to take the positives out of the situation, and we're going to keep pushing and marching forward. So,
How is it that you're the most crunked, rowdy guy on the field, but I think off the field, I'm always seeing you in a very relaxed, calm, and composed position?
it's honestly, I wouldn't be able to tell you. I kind of well, going back to the question you first asked me, moving to a different state, not knowing anyone, it put me into a shell, and lack of communication. Didn't talk to nobody. Didn't want to make friends. But now it's completely different. I've come out of my shell more to communicate with people on and off the field. And the things I do off the field, it correlates to the things I'm doing on the field now. So as far as grades and communicating with the training staff and the weight room and the coaches, my position coach, head coach, all those things, it turns back into the things I do on the field. I'm telling guys where to go. I'm able to know my position and get other guys lined up, and other guys have been able to help me get lined up some plays. So it's all about, I would say, the energy, the passion, the love that I have for football. I've been playing it since I was a kid. It's just the drive that I have. I've been through so much, and just can't wait to, our coaches always say, execution fuels emotions. So once we execute, every day we go out to practice, we fixing the small details, and we go out to the game and we see those small details turn into something so big, and that's what it is. Execution fueling emotions. So
3 games left, Antonio. What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to see this team accomplish in this upcoming stretch?
I just want to see my guys keep pushing. We've been through so much this year, the off season, optional workouts. My guys showing up, anything optional, the guys are showing up, they're coming through, and our record is not showing the things that we're improving on and the small things that we're getting better at daily. But, that's what people don't see. Like, as a team, we're growing. As a culture, as a community, we're growing daily. And honestly, like, I'm happy, and I wouldn't say satisfied, but I'm extremely, extremely happy with how much my team and the culture of everything is growing. I'm really excited. But the main thing I would want to see is the things that I have been seeing is camaraderie, my team coming together and building off of every small thing. We're not taking any steps back. Even through the bye week, we came in full pass. Hey, let's go. You know what I'm saying? We tackled better during the game, and it showed. So that's the main thing I want to see. My team continue doing what they're doing. Just keep pushing.
Antonio, one day you're going to play your last game, and it'll be all over at the University of South Florida. I think you're very talented, and you'll have the opportunity to play football beyond college, right? But with 2 years left, what do you want to get done over those next 2 years? So by the time people leave, by the time you leave the University of South Florida, people have a story to tell about you, right? What do you want to get accomplished, and what do you want that story to be like?
So I'll tell you. First, I'll tell you the story. Coach Scott brought his brother down to talk to us. He's a doctor and stuff like that. And the first thing I told him, I met him, I introduced myself. And the first thing I was so excited to tell him is, like, I'm your brother's first starting linebacker as a head coach. You know what I'm saying? That brings joy to my heart to be, one of the Coach Scott's first starter linebacker. But one thing that I would say about that is I leave it on the field. That's one thing I want people to say about me. And Antonio Greer, he's going to leave it on the field. He's going to empty his tank. And I would say I'm a start to a new era that's going to last for decades. And 100% bought in to what Coach Scott has planned here. And I'm just glad to be the start of it. And when I leave, there people is going to say Antonio Greer and then Dwayne Boyles, DeMarcus Bellamy, those linebackers were the start of Coach Scott's new era at University of South Florida. So when I come back 10 years from now, like other guys, alumni come back, I want to say, like, hey, I started this, or be able to relate to those guys that's going to be sitting in the same seats that I have sat in. I'm going to be able to relate to them more and let them know the obstacles and adversity that we have faced, so.
It's powerful.
Good stuff, Antonio. A chance to write another chapter this weekend in Houston. Good luck to you.
All right, thank you.
Antonio Greer joins us. Stay with us. Sam and I back to wrap it up after this on the USF Football Radio Network, presented by Marathon.